Hey guys, we are back with another episode of The Gifted and Insane. This episode is entitled Emerge. It'll be our take on stepping out of the shadows and stepping into your life. As usual, you guys let us know what you think about the episode at the end. So here we go. Enjoy. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Gifted and Insane with me and my co-host Jabri. What's going on, brother? How you doing tonight?
I am too blessed to be stressed.
I heard that, man. All right, we're just going to jump right into this next episode. I'm going to call this episode Emerge. And the reason why I'm calling it Emerge is I had a recent discovery, brother. I figured out that I did a fantastic job, or so I thought, of hiding in plain sight.
Mm.
Hiding in plain sight, meaning that I am in an environment where I am like a peacock trying to paint the feathers, if that makes any sense, or hide the feathers, or keep the feathers hidden instead of putting them on full display. And
Hmm.
there were several reasons for that, or something that I thought was cool to justify my activities.
Right, right.
Yeah, man. Little did I know that I was doing a poor job, and the people around me saw the feathers anyway. And I'm trying to hide these, and feathers meaning like attributes, and they can pick up on your energy. They know if you got a good vibe, good story, good heart, you're a good person, and you're talented and all this other stuff. And that hiding in plain sight, I call myself out on it. It was a choice.
Hmm.
It was a
Gotcha.
choice that I made, based on fear, or based on, well, it could be a fear based on many different things. Fear of quote unquote exposure. We can explain that later. Fear on, not wanting to shine and take the responsibility of shining. It's like that's another way of saying fear of success, or fear of taking
Right.
chances, or fear of absorbing things that maybe I was afraid that I was not ready for. I mean, all of it is a theme. Hiding in plain sight equals, fear, fear of exposure, fear of a lot of different things. So then once I realized that, brother, I realized that resistance that I felt in my heart,
Hmm.
and it came in the form of like that pressure you get when you know that it may be something right or wrong that you're doing, and you ignore it,
Hmm.
and you maybe recategorize it as something else, or you just blow right past it and not let your body speak to you, not let your soul speak to you, and let you know that you're not doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time. We're all in tune like that, and if when we get out of it, that's when we start ignoring those things. That's when we blind ourselves to those things. And mine was based on like a lot of different things, besides fear, or under that fear umbrella, I should say, like trust issues with the masses.
Hmm.
That's the only way I can say it. It's like you only let people in so far, and you even question some of the things that you tell them, because you and I both, we work 12s, but I work in like groups, and you have to be careful about what you say, how you say it, who you say it to, because some people wear good masks though, and they'll get your information, they'll get something that they know about you, and sometimes some people, they don't have the best intentions for you. They want to see you lose, they want to see you hurt, or they just want to know your information. It's basically, people are spoons. And what I mean by spoon, and I'm pretty sure people know what spoons are, or they know who the spoons are once I explain it. People that like to stir up shit.
Mm. Okay, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, you can spot a spoon. Now you kind of playing in your mind like, dang, this person, that person, this person, all of these people, because they like you can see them when something's going down, some drama or something's happening. They like start to get a smirk on their face, and they light up at those times.
Exactly.
They literally light up, and they looking like, what's going to happen next? And then they want to be the town crier. They want to go and they want to tell just a little juice, a little tea, or whatever they got. They want to go and tell it. And
Hmm.
because we've been exposed to these people, I know I've been exposed to these people, and I've been burned by them, you know. And I find out, and it's like sometimes their little activities come to the surface a little bit later, And then you regret, like, man, I shouldn't have told her this stuff, or I shouldn't have said this to this dude. Now they're using what little bit of information that I gave them, and it's like they're taking that whole mountain molehill thing. They make a mountain out of a
Hmm.
molehill because they feel like they got something on you, or they feel like, hey, I know something intimate about this dude. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put that in my back pocket, or I'm going to say this or manipulate this information in my own way, interpret it in my own way just to keep the pot stirring, AKA
Hmm.
spoons. So, yeah. And so I'm guarded. Sometimes I learn how to say a whole lot about a little bit of stuff. And I'm pretty sure,
That's a good way to be.
yeah, because and then that way they feel like they're getting filled up, but you're just pouring a bunch of filler into them. Especially if you got to be in an environment around them, and if you're a social person, as I am, and I'm like, okay, I'll tell you this and this and this, and I'll put a whole lot of stuff on it, and now you feel like your cup is filled, and you can do that
That's
as a
actually a good social skill, though. That's a good tip. That's good game. That's a good social skill right there.
yeah, just tell them a whole lot of nothing and fill them up, and that way they leave you alone, and you can manage your environment. Because I know some people, there's
Right.
some people in my life, some people that are close to me that are cut and dry, and you'd be like, F them all. They don't need to know anything. They need to, but I get that part too. But at the same time, sometimes you have to manage your
You
environment.
have to give people something.
Yeah, you got to manage your environment. You have to manage your environment to make it survivable for you sometimes.
Because
Because,
if you don't give them something, they're going to come up with their own concoction on what they think you're about. Or, they'll come up with like a Frankenstein version of you, which I call like, I have a Franken Jabri that my family created of me. And it's everybody's expectations on, oh, well, Jabri does this, or, my family calls me Waleed. So they'll be like, oh, Waleed, everybody knows Waleed does this. Everybody knows. And when you grow up hearing that, you think you're supposed to act on what their idea of who you are is. And that's not even, those are all projections, so that's just, I know that, but I'm just to relate that to what you were saying, that you have to give people something so they don't concoct their own image of what they think you are. And then they start to spread it to other people. And then if you don't give them the portrayal of what you want them to, what you want them to have, then that goes back to the topic. The main topic of the broadcast today is you can't feel as though you need to recline yourself or detract yourself. Sometimes you may feel like you're peacocking around, like you said, and we don't want to be arrogant. So they're telling you, oh, don't be arrogant, don't be stuck up. But there's a thin line between arrogance and confidence, and there's also a thin line, and it's really good that you kind of correlated that and brought it back 360 with, because it's a big difference between being overconfident and just presenting yourself and projecting yourself and giving people an image that you want them to have of you, even though it may not be like all ultra deep. And some people just overshare, like you got somebody telling you about, their kids and, their mom. I had a coworker just come up and start telling me, yeah, man, I just wish that girl would have stayed. Like if she just stayed last night, like you don't have to just jump up and go home. Like, can you just stay for breakfast or can we cuddle? I'm like, man, I just said hi, bro. Like I wasn't trying to I was we don't even talk like that. Like I wasn't trying to get into all of this. You know?
uh,
Maybe your stroke game is weak. I don't know what to tell you.
she just left me clutching the covers, brother. She just
Right.
left me clutching the blankets. And then she left
Right.
$100 on the nightstand. She left $100 on the
Pretty much.
nightstand.
Pretty much, bro.
Oh my
I'm like
gosh.
like oversharing, you know. So,
Yeah.
no, so
Oh,
I completely get what you're saying though. That's profound. I mean that connects everything for the topic of the show. So
right. But and speaking of peacocks and stuff, they just retract their feathers. They're still beautiful creatures, right? They just
right.
they just retract their feathers for when, and they use them when they're supposed to use them. They don't cover them up. They don't try to wallow in the mud or whatever to kind of dull the colors that they display. They just don't put the tails up. But the tail,
Hmm.
the proverbial tail, has to be displayed at particular times. But when
Right.
you're hiding in the shadows, you refuse to do that. And not only do you refuse to do that, you try to sink down more based on that kind of that fear and all that stuff. And so,
Right.
but sometimes it's rightfully so. You kind of shrink back just a little bit, retract a little bit, just to kind of figure out your environment. Because I know that oversharing, like years ago, I used to have a problem with that. And it was just me just trying to express myself and find an outlet. And a lot of people don't have an outlet, but if they feel comfortable with you,
Good point.
that's because you're displaying some sort of sign to let them know that you're a safe place. Like, and it's crazy how fast people can come up with that. Like, hey, oh, Jabri's right there. Oh, he's a cool dude. Let me just, blah, 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 just vomit everything onto you. And you're like, well,
True.
damn, I didn't ask that stuff. But it's on the person too that's doing all that, vomiting out all that information to see, like, is it okay if I talk to you about that? And that's nothing wrong. A quick question, and the person says, yeah. If you're on that receiving end, don't lie. Say, look, I really don't
Right.
have time to field this right now. But if you got time, just open up. So I think that we have to do selective trusting and not use blanket distrust, if that makes sense. Sometimes it applies. I think sometimes you can just look like all these guys, all these people in here are bullshit, and I'm going to let them prove themselves to not be. And then you leave the door open for somebody to prove themselves not to be that way. And I get that
Hmm.
because especially if you feel like you're an army of one and you got a room full of people, you know, you got to be like, okay, let me sort all these people out because there's too many. Like, we as a society, especially in America, we create too many avenues for we create too many avenues for assholes to get away with stuff. We create too many environments for assholes to be a certain way, and
Right.
sometimes we retract or we revert because we've hell. Sometimes we get the unlucky pick, and we're in a whole bed full of these people, and we
Yeah.
have no choice but to go into our cocoons. But after we figure out our environment, it's wrong to stay in our cocoons because this whole thing is about
Hmm.
emerging and rising above. Because some people are not going to be on your level, men,
Yeah.
women, or otherwise. They're not going to be on your level because you have
But
certain things in common. Don't mean that they're going to be on your level personally, and you can rise above that stuff, and it's okay. I cut you off, brother.
this no, it's okay. I was just I wanted to just interject as far as the because that made me think about the ruler statement. There was some wisdom that a really wise man told me once about the ruler. That is the term ruler is the same as the measurement, and the reason you can rule over people is because you are able to measure them. Some people you may only talk to about football. Some
Mm,
people you may talk to about current events, and then some people you talk to about ideas. The highest form of communication is ideas. Like the mid-range conversation might be about politics. The lowest form of communication is gossip, and stuff like that. But they're different people who you might want to communicate with on these different levels. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to, like I said, like we said before, overshare. Like you don't need to talk to your gossip buddy about anything other than what Cat Williams said on Club Shay Shay. But then you don't want to start talking to him about philosophy because he's not going to get it. You know what I mean? So
right.
oversharing goes both ways, and one way, like you said, someone can feel comfortable with you and want to put you into all kind of personal stuff that they have going on. But then also, you don't want to be the person because a lot of times I found in the past, me personally, I would overshare with things that I have that I want to accomplish because you could feel insecure and feel the need to tell someone like they're not concerned with where you are in as an extra in their movie. They're the star of that movie, but you're feeling insecure. I had someone text me today. There was a group text. I'm not gonna get tell who said what, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But someone in the group text said, "Hey, well, I just finished school, and I just graduated from such and such." But this wasn't the topic. This was somebody projecting something that they wanted to let everybody know that they were doing to so people won't think that they're already assuming that someone has an image of them as lower. And I'm not telling if you listen to the show, you know who you are. Uh, I'm putting myself in that same boat, and I'm saying that that's something that we don't necessarily have to do. I would do that myself. Look, for my with my detailing business, for instance. I'll tell people, yeah, well, I got my water tank, and my close friends and people that that deserve to know that, or that I share those kind of things with. But it's just a random stranger, and you don't feel good with where you are in life, so you project and you overshare where you are going, and I think that that's unnecessary.
Right. I think that that reveals an inner conflict that's going on to me.
Right.
When you want to overshare stuff, you want to make up for what you feel that you're lacking. Yeah, we
And,
all
and and you're assuming that someone think you're not trying to be a mind reader, thinking that someone knows something about you that they don't. You know what I mean? Or
exactly
you're thinking someone's judging you, so you're trying to correct their judgment before you don't know what that person is thinking.
or going through
You
at the
know?
time.
Right. And one more thing before I know I cut you off, but let me just
No, you're good.
I think it was my grandfather said that you don't want to be somebody can think you're an idiot until you open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Right.
You let them think you're an idiot, but when sometimes you can just open your mouth and now it's like, yeah, I was right. Okay. All right, I digress.
No, man. I mean, I totally get you, and that's wisdom that's going to be passed down to the next generation. Emergence comes from within, not from without. I mean, we can seek our educations, we can buy our clothes and jewelry and do everything, get our fancy cars or whatever, but the emergence has to be genuine and has to come from within. And until
Hmm.
we get that going and correct it on the inside, we're still going to be having these little conflicts and saying these little stupid things or making promises and comments that one won't serve us, two would set us up for failure. Promising, I'll come over and I'll do this and I'll do A, B, and C and D, knowing you ain't got the
Right.
means to do that, knowing you ain't
Right.
got the means to do it. That
Hmm.
concealment of yourself, that concealment, like taping down your feathers, it's going to lead to these behaviors and decisions that you make that's totally on your shoulders is going to stop you from progressing, basically, in a positive way, because it's no more negative feeling to me. There are fewer things that feel more negative than you lying to you, and you lying to you and you won't buy it. Like, I take my hat off to those people. Like, I even know some people that I'm related to some of those folks, unfortunately, that would sit there and they would tell you a lie, tell themselves a lie, and believe that lie wholeheartedly, which to me is very dangerous. And if you're not on board with it, then they're mad at you.
Hmm.
But I'm like, you can lie to yourself, but you're not going to lie to me. And that's what's being, or that's what hiding in plain sight is. It's like you're lying to everybody else and you're lying to yourself. And you don't have to like shine all the time and be like, I got to be the man 24/7, because that's some more pressure you putting on yourself that's not due. But when it's time to
Hmm.
shine and time to stand up, it's time to do it. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm speaking to those people out there that are pretty much hiding in plain sight, whether it's your because of your environment, family history, or you just don't want to reveal that side of yourself because you feel uncomfortable. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to show yourself. You're gonna have to show your colors. And if the people around you don't like your colors, and that's their problem. Now, by colors, I don't mean be the loudest person in the room, stand on top of the desk, and do a lot of dumb shit. Because a lot of things that's pretty dumb these days are being reclassified as people expressing themselves and being, the best person that they can be. But that doesn't mean that you be the loudest person in the room, or you be the dumbest person, or or strength, which I think is a lot of, and I'm speaking to like people our age and younger. It's like strength don't come because you got the biggest mouth in the room. Intelligence don't isn't displayed because you got the biggest mouth or you do you're the loudest in the room. That's not intelligence. That has nothing to do with intelligence and strength. Sometimes strength is quiet. Strength is
Yeah, I
projecting.
think and I think to add on to that, releasing your feathers, I think it needs to be a controlled release of feathers depending on the situation. Like not just to be out strutting around and over, like you got people who want to have the biggest, the most fancy, brightest jewelry, the most gaudy cars, or I mean, all that stuff is fine, but at the same time, I think it was, I forgot what Indian philosopher it was. I know I need to quote somebody. That was a critique somebody gave me about one of the podcasts. Like, if you're going to say something, just, to get a reference so you could say and give somebody credit for, shut up. What I
Oh
was
my
saying is,
God. Oh man. It's always gonna be somebody. And
right,
it's always gonna be
right,
somebody.
but it was an Indian philosopher who said that for you to have a gift and not share it with the world is actually a sin. And I think back to the topic of emergence, at some point you hurt yourself by not sharing who you truly are. And, it takes a lot of deep thought, and sometimes it might take some therapy to get some of these layers off of you to the point where you're able to express yourself fully as who you are. But that's where the work is, and that's once you start to realize that, it becomes easier and easier for you to, emerge.
Right. Right. And it's all about finding your space because some people like to just bust through the wall like the Kool-Aid man and, be on scene. And it's like, dude, sometimes some things require some busting. I get it. But with something as important and as profound as your personality, your purpose, and everything like that, finding your place here, I think that it's a series of lessons that you need to learn about
Hmm.
yourself. And then we talking about the University of You, and as you attend more classes in your own university, you will see the signs and you will see your way to the top. You will start to naturally ascend to where you're gonna go. You ain't gotta just oh yeah,
Right,
and it's
right.
bricks
Yeah,
and shit falling all down around everybody. Everybody looking at us like, what's wrong with this person? You know,
yeah.
but that's what people are taught. I'm bold. I'm this. I'm that. I'm this. And we talked about it before. It's like you ain't got to say this. You just be it. You
Hmm.
know, you don't have to, like, a crazy person doesn't say that they're crazy. They're just crazy. You know,
Right.
naturally charismatic person is just being charismatic. They're not announcing, "Hey, how you doing? I'm charismatic, and I'm gonna start talking to you now. Get out of here, stupid ass." You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't
Right.
precursor the stuff, like you freaking Cookie Monster or some shit. Like, hey, you're a Cookie Monster. You don't say your own name or you don't say what you're doing like you're some kind of goddamn Pokemon or something. You build yourself into these things. And again, people start outer versus starting within. I mean, we both
Right.
made this mistake before because this is the groove through granite that society has carved over time, and we were all in that lane. We were all in
Hmm.
that lane, and the flow is going to go for where the groove is carved, and you got to work and carve a new groove for yourself.
That's true. That's well said.
Hey, shit, that's all a part of emerging. We're still, you got to emerge, and then you have to evolve too. You don't just, oh, I'm here now. What? Huh? Keep moving.
And right,
Keep
right.
stupid. You
But
know.
but see, I think a lot of trauma, a lot of people deal with so much trauma that it's hard for them to emerge. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest issues is because when you go back to like people disengage because they don't want to face the reality of who they really are, and then they withdraw. And I know I suffered from that myself. I'm none of the stuff we were talking about is nothing that the reason we can speak on it is because this is stuff that we have to overcome, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's one of the main things that I think about when you talk about emerging is, you have to be able to you have to learn yourself first before you can even articulate yourself. But if
Right.
you're running to drugs or alcohol or any kind of vice or anything that's going to help you cope or cover up from actually facing the reality of you, who you are, your past, and the things that you're going to have to accomplish and overcome to to deal with the reality of who you are and who God put you here to be, then there's so many people out here who are just chasing a phony version of what the world thinks that they should be, and that's why there's so much unhappiness. So many relationships are failing. So many people are on drugs and different substances, and that's because people are not they're not understanding. Like I think I said it, but like probably on one of the first episode I was on is just that the world we're so far away from living the way that I think that the universe, the creator, created us to be, there's so many layers that we have to unpack to get back to that. And, that's the journey that we're all on. And I'm glad we have this platform, and I'm happy to be able to share with those who I think may be able to benefit from, our experiences.
Right, right. Because I look forward to engaging with folks, at least the folks that we touch. Because we all had a little minor run-ins with little. Well, at least you did. Like everybody that give me some good feedback so far. But I think that it speaks to something within us because we've gotten piled on for so many years, men and women. Young and
Hmm.
old. It's not an age thing. It's not a gender thing. Hell, I mean, to a certain extent, it's not even like a race thing. Even people in different economic classes have faced things that is so powerful because it's they can't the pressure that they're under mixed
Yeah,
in with
there's rich people killing themselves all the time.
exactly all and it's all because the pressure that's placed on them or what even if they perceive it as pressure because we can look from the outside like man that dude he had it going on, he had the best clothes, he had this, he had that, he had whatever. We don't know what he had or going on between his ears. We don't know what pressures that he was under because of what he was experiencing between his ears. And that's where everything starts. Safety starts between the ears, self care starts between the ears, perception, all of that stuff. In our
Yeah,
computer centers called our brains, that's where it starts. Oh, these guys,
yeah.
they got this, they got that. They're doing podcasts and they're talking to each other and this you have no idea.
Yeah, and
No.
I've been the most unhappy that I've ever been when I was making the most money that I've ever made in my life. I was more unhappy than I had ever been. So, you could look at what somebody you perceive somebody has, or you know, and what you would do if you had that, but you don't know a lot of times what people have to do to get it. It's the process of what you did to earn it that might be giving you hell.
That's true.
So,
That's true. And that goes back to managing your environment the best you
hmm,
can. Because sometimes, we can't, like you were saying, we had a conversation, you can't pick your family, but you have to manage with what you
mm,
got. Sometimes in the, card games, poker, you can't pick your cards, but you have to manage what you got. So
right.
sometimes,
Play the hand you're dealt.
there you go. There you go. Best way to say that. And you got to make the most of it. And sometimes you'll be if you relax, breathe through it, look at it, know the game in and out, you can manage that and make it work for yourself and be faithful. Of course,
Right.
we don't have a whole ep about that one, but have some faith. But emerging is a process. You take a little step at a time. We're gonna get into this part where we're talking about how to emerge. Okay, you know that's what you have to do. If you're understanding what we're talking about now, find ways. There's no light switch stuff. Sometimes there is, or it seems like that when we have these little synchronicities in our life that just work. It seems like it's just you flip a switch and it happens. Other things
Hmm.
are gradual. Something like this, somebody can probably just do like the what we were joking about earlier, talking about the Kool-Aid man. Sometimes they can just bust out, and that's where they are. You know,
Right.
kudos to you for being able to do that. Other people take it one step at a time. Take it slow.
Right.
Check your environment. Check yourself. Check in with yourself. I remember I had answered this it was on the wisdom app and I had to answer this question. They said which book had impacted me, and I answered this book was called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. It's by Kamal Ravikant. So there's your credit for whoever is listening.
I was about to say. I was
You're
about to
right.
say that.
It's love yourself like your life depended on it. I think that was one of the few personal development books that I just started off and read from front to cover to cover. And the
Hmm.
thing that I always go back to and I always like is like it. I actually participated when they had these little exercises in the book that said, "Hey, you need to start loving yourself. You need to look yourself in the mirror, and you need to do this. You need to do that." And this next one, you say you need to say this to yourself, and you say that to yourself, and reiterate. And at first, I was like, "Nah." Usual, typical me at the time, like, f this, I'm not gonna do this. Then I did it, And then I repeated it, and it felt funny to check in with myself. And because of the reason that reason there, why it felt funny, I'm like, this shouldn't feel funny. This shouldn't feel weird for me to check in with myself. I'm riding inside this meat sack here called a body. This is my body. This is
Right.
me. I need to check in with me, and this should not feel funny. And it was one of the weirdest, almost transformational experiences. Like, I'm not, there, quote unquote, but it gave me a solid ass start. And that's the type of things we need to do. We need to hold ourselves accountable, but love ourselves, but check in with ourselves and make ourselves one of, if not the most important person in our lives. And that's where emerging comes from. And that's where listening to ourselves comes from. Because we people listen to this, you can play back in times where there were certain events, certain instances, certain situations where something was in you was crying out to be heard and say, do this now. Take care of this now. Not from the brain, it was from inside your soul, inside your chest, inside your heart. You can do replays now and be like, man, I should have said this. Or man, I should have done this. Or man, I should have asked her out. Or man, I should have done this for my mom. Or man, we have dozens of those instances.
Hmm.
But emergence comes with turning your ear on and listening to that gut feeling. Everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about your gut feeling, and people think like, it's dumb, or people like use or manipulate it in a way for them to like justify them doing some dumb shit. But it's there. It's something that's so powerful that we can have access to that if we learn how to check in with ourselves. It's just a lesson that's ongoing for me right now.
Yeah, I think learning how to check in with yourself, it felt weird and awkward because of conditioning. A lot of times we're conditioned not to listen to that voice, or just there are certain things that you basically have to reprogram your whole way of once you start your journey to self discovery. You have to kind of start to reprogram your whole way of approaching your emergence. Because there's so many there's so many things that have been, like I said, piled onto us.
Yeah, we were talking about reprogramming, and I find that very interesting. It's like a project that
Hmm.
you can undergo. It's a project for anybody, young or old, male, female, wherever you are, whatever group you lie in, you can reprogram yourself. It's kind of creating a new platform for which you operate, from which your personality operates, from what your personality is based on, how your operating system is based on. I know that, I don't know, he just passed away recently. He was in The Secret, and he says a lot of profound things to me. It was Bob Proctor, and
Hmm.
everybody knew the people that's in personal development. Everybody's like, Bob Proctor is one of the heavy hitters. He's up there, and I still watch his lectures, watch his videos and stuff like that. And he has a lot of material out there. So boom, once again, you want a reference, there you go. Look at Bob Proctor, and stop making personal development and quote unquote self-help as, just stop looking at it as a bad thing. you know I've actually encountered people that are stupid. Oh, it's a self-help. What the hell is wrong with helping yourself, fool?
Right. And like you said, like you're giving that reference, and then even with us, what we're doing right now, no one was put on this planet alone. And there's you could trigger. There's different people who and have different ideas that can trigger other people who may think like you. And going back to what you were saying as far as that voice and that intuition, that's what self-help is. I think that you have to be able to create the environment and the atmosphere for you to be able to listen to that voice. Because sometimes we're so buried in the ways of the world, so to speak, for lack of better words, that we can't even hear that voice. So that's where
Right.
the discipline comes in. That's where all these techniques come in. When you start to read a lot of the self-help books, and you go to therapy and you go to religions, there's a reoccurring theme. It all comes back to the same thing, and it's mind control. And I'm not talking about being brainwashed. I'm talking about you actually controlling your mind. and figuring out different tools and techniques for you to be able to create an environment for you to be able to listen to that intuition.
Very true. Facts. Yeah,
All right, my
that was good, brother, and I appreciate that. And again, we were talking about not doing things alone. That I believe that that's true. You just have to be you have to vet your crew a little bit more. You have to
precisely.
surround yourself with quality people that you know you can trust, that you can know that you can leave your kids around, leave your wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever around, and not have to worry about it. Know that you can entrust certain things that are near and dear and deep with you, with them, and not feel like you're going to be threatened with somebody going to be threatened to, put something back on you or throw something at you to hurt you. And trust me, I get
Right.
it. I've had things thrown back on me. I've had people try to hurt me. I had people try to backdoor me and say certain things and try to manipulate the mind of people that I'm close to and all these little things because people are assholes and that means that they are spoons too. I think they're one and the same. Sometimes some are more active than others, but some people like to stir up the pot. Only thing you have to do is get to work. You get to work for the people that you clock in with. You need to get to work for that person that you see in the mirror. Bottom freaking line. And that doesn't mean shut everybody out and treat everybody poorly. That means just vet people better, but take care of that
Right.
person you see in the mirror, inside and then outside too. Not by buying stuff. I mean by experiences, by massages. We talked about this stuff. Where were we talking about that? In University U, we were talking about people taking care of themselves with self care, physically and mentally. So these are things that you have to do for yourself. Give yourself some homework, literally homework. Do this stuff at home. You can do it in your car. Sometimes we may have little kids. We have a busy home environment. You got that drive home to take time, put your phone on silent, or put it on do not disturb. The people that you have as favorites, they're gonna come through. Listen to the music you want to listen to, or listen to something that can get you going, and start your work there. Set aside some time. Do it little by little,
Hmm.
and you yourself will emerge. You will emerge. We're getting there. We're still rising. We're not experts. We're not like they're at the top of the mountain yet. But hopefully these words, these things that we're saying to you, hopefully these things can help pull you up, help get you started, help you stand and not sit. Help you stand for yourself and not sit anymore.
Absolutely.
That's all we're saying it for. Um, hey, just hit us up, man. Giftedandinsane at gmail.com. That's our email. We have polls and stuff and things on this platform on Spotify for podcasters. You can leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the episode. Give us some decent feedback or let us know if any of these words touched you. If you let us know how it impacted you and give us the okay, we can put you in an episode and give you a shout out. We appreciate the connections that we're building right now.
Indeed. Indeed. Um, I guess we're signing off, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this one up. I think that the hearts that we need to touch, we will touch, and I'm thankful if this helps anybody out. It's helped me out. I can sit back and listen to you, and then I can get things out as I'm expressing myself, and I feel better after each of these episodes that we do. So again, we're the guys from the Gifted and Insane. I am Marzette, my co-host Jabri, my man, my good friend for about 30 years now, and we're still going strong. So thank you guys for listening. We are going to sign off. You got anything else to let them know? Let them know, Jib.
Well, I'd just like to say, stay mindful, and these are things that are just coming straight from me, and my personal journey that I'm going through recently. Just try to make sure that you take stock of what's going on and at the moment, in the present, and don't have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and just enjoy the time that we have in the present. Don't miss the parade waiting on the big band. And with that being said, peace and blessings.
Same. Well said, brother. Well said. We'll see you on the next episode of The Gift and Insane. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Gifted and Insane featuring Marzette and Jabri. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great day. Peace.